I'm so mad. I got a fresh cut yesterday too, bro. You guys are missing out.
Yo, your boy got a fresh cut too, bro. Come on.
Yeah, you see, it should have been swapped so we couldn't see Johnny's. Johnny, when are you going to go back and let him finish it?
We already know. We didn't go back letting him finish it. We already know that Johnny's a pretty boy.
Week one.
I haven't shaved in almost a week, so whatever.
Oh, a week? That's a week's growth?
It's a week's growth.
Nice. That's all right. That's not bad for a week. That's probably more than I have in a week.
I'll look homeless after a week, bro.
One thing I will never do is talk shit about somebody's beard. I have no right. Week one in the Always Sunday Football Podcast. Joining me in week one and every week this fantasy football season is John Ortiz, Anthony Felicetti, and I am DC in the City. We're going to be taking you through our stupid brains as we think and talk about football for a whole bunch of weeks in a row and then see how it all sorts out in the end. And that is just about as confident as I'm going to be when we start this thing off, and I feel like that's fair. I think that's a pretty fair estimation. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing today?
Anthony,
fantastic.
We wish we could see your. We wish we could see your beautiful face. I'm gonna do obviously this is for the listeners and the people who are viewing that we can't actually see Anthony. He's got some technical difficulties with his camera right now, so I'm gonna have to do a little face replace in that space. So I'll find a nice picture so everybody knows.
Too ugly for TV.
Whoa, right. Settle down, Joe.
You know how they say, "Oh, you broke the camera. You broke the camera." Well, his camera actually is broken. Like he did actually break the camera. So that does happen. It does really happen from time to time. Okay, gang. So here's what we're gonna do. We are going to take a look at the DK odds, the current week one DK odds. I'm gonna go game by game for the week, and we're just gonna kind of run down everything, talk about everything. If you guys have any thoughts, feel free to shout them out and let me know. The Baltimore Ravens are visiting the New York Jets, and they're favored by 6.5 points with an over/under of 44. Anybody have any strong feelings about this game? Baltimore Jets.
John, as a Jets fan, I'll let you go first, John.
Yes, John.
I have no comment on this team. Honestly, the Jets might be smoked like almost on a college football level. I think that the spread's probably going to go over. I'm going to be honest with you. That's how bad of a beating that the Jets, I think, could get this game. You're missing your Zach Wilson ain't that great, but Joe Flacco is basically going to be like Ben Roethlisberger, a stationary target.
Let's be
with
real.
a bad offensive line. It's just going to be an absolute disaster for the Jets the first week. It's embarrassing as a Jets fan.
Flacco is an upgrade from Zach Wilson. Let's just be honest with each other. But yeah, I really like that call out of you on the over 44. I think Baltimore could score 44 by themselves in this game, and just very well might.
Nobody likes the little juice. Flacco going against the Ravens. No. I don't think he's gonna. No.
He's a shell of himself, unfortunately.
Yeah. No. I mean, he's a capable quarterback. I think he's going to move the offense. Like, for example, I think Eli Moore is going to have a fine game. He's going to get a bunch of targets, but no, not at all. No. Moving on.
I actually have them as going over, and for my survivor, the Ravens.
Oh, you picked the Ravens. Yeah, I think they're going to be a very, very popular survivor pick this week. Very, very popular. And rightly so. The Eagles are giving up 5.5 to the Lions. This is one of the sexiest matchups of the week. I think everybody can agree that the Lions were on Hard Knocks. The Eagles have been one of the teams that is talked about very, very popularly in the media. This is one I'm honestly excited to watch.
I think, I agree. I think it's going to be good, but I think the Eagles are going to take it, and I think they're going to cover the points. I don't want to say that as the person I am, but there's a lot of hype on Jalen. Boy could run. Let's see, your boy Brown is there. They got targets. They got problem. I'm just hoping that Hawkinson goes off for multiple reasons.
Sure. Well, you're heavily invested heavily invested. But no, I think everything you said is valid, though. Both teams have players that are good quality players, both in real life and in fantasy, and they're both, I think, well, okay, you mentioned that it's not as easy for you to make this call because you're a Giants fan, but I think both teams are pretty easy to root for if you're looking at it objectively. Johnny, you got any feelings on this one?
In terms of spread, I'm staying away from this game. I think this game's going to go down right to the wire.
True.
I think this is going to be one of those games where it can go either or. I am staying away from this game. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than what people think it's going to be.
But this is a main TV game or a side TV game?
Side TV game,
really?
for sure.
Oh, I can't wait to see
Yeah,
what the main
I
TV
really
game is.
think. Yeah, I don't think it's
Don't
going to be
spoil
a
it.
very.
Don't spoil it.
I don't think it's going to be a sexy game.
You think Amon St. Brown's the real deal?
It would have
I mean,
to
they
be,
said statistically, right? He had like the 5 or 6 game stretch. He had like unbelievable numbers.
the two guys we just talked about, Eli Moore and Amon-Ra St. Brown, were like the best two wide receivers in fantasy over the second half of the season last year. They were both incredible, and as rookies. So no, they're
And
both
on
studs.
poopy teams.
Right. They're both. Well, the thing about it is they're both passing a lot in the second halves of games because they were down. Often third 3/4 of the game they were down, so they were passing a lot. So they got a lot of looks, a lot of volume there. But more than that, they're just freak stud athletes. They're just awesome. They're really, really awesome. I'm surprised to hear you say that you don't think that game's going to be sexy or fun or anything like that. You're probably the first person to sort of like brush that off. But we'll move along.
I think that it's going to what the hype is. I think the expectations of what that game is going to be very disappointing. That's just my prediction, though.
That's fair. That's fair. And I like where your head is at on those two over-unders so far. I really like that. You're sharp there. Colts giving up 7 points to the Texans right here. Texans severely underrated. I kind of think the Texans are going to put up a fight. I don't know if I really feel good about taking them in my picks, but the Texans are going to be better than people think.
Brandon Cooks, bro.
Brandon Cooks, I mean, he's a very valid fantasy option, always is. But I just
No matter
think
where
that
he is, he's putting in work.
it's about Davis Mills and the offense. I think that's what it's all about. Johnny, what do you feel about Davis Mills? I know you're a Mills guy.
Well, I'm going to say I do think that this team is going to be what the Detroit Lions were last year. I think that this team is going to be one of those teams that is surprisingly competitive in games and just loses really close games. I don't think that is my team of the year that people are going to be like, oh my God, they're right in the game. David Mills, like he scores a touchdown and then the defense gives up some crazy play and they lose the game, and it's just like they're going to be the heartbreak team of this year. I think this game, another game that's going to be very, very close. Remember, Indy has a brand new quarterback. I think it's an upgrade, but I think that this Houston Texans team is going to be well coached. I like Lovie Smith over at Houston. I like the direction of what the general manager is trying to mold in the culture. I honestly think that Houston's going to have a big growing pain year, but they're not going to be one of those teams that are going to be getting blown out like the Jets.
What's your feel on the over/under here? Because that 46 is it's a number I want to get involved with. At 46 is like, okay, let's make a stand here. What's your stance?
Oh, man.
Doesn't it 46 make you want to take a stand? Anthony, where are you at?
Well, I think I'm the same because you feel like Indy's going to throw mid 20s out there, high 20s out there, right? So if what John's saying is accurate, which is they're gonna come close, they're gonna keep it a game. So I'm actually staying away from the spread, but I might take that over there because Indy's gonna, the points wise, Indy's gonna score, right? You got Jonathan Taylor out there. He's gonna be running. He's gonna be running hard, and Michael Pittman's Johnny's boy. But I think it's gonna break 46, but not by much. I would take the over there, but I'd stay away from the spread.
You're gonna be sweating. The Colts have a really, really good defense, but I'm interested to see because I also think, like I mentioned, the Texans are a team I'm going to keep an eye on just to see how things go out. I really like that take out of you, Johnny, about how they're going to be fighting but still losing, because that was very much the story with Detroit last year. They were competitive in every game, and they were great for fantasy. They were great for real life football. Steelers, Bengals, big division. Bengals giving up 6.5 points, coming off the loss in the Super Bowl. Go ahead.
Taking those points.
Oh,
they're gonna cover.
Oh, you think? Oh, so you're laying the points?
Oh,
They're gonna
under,
cover, bro.
under.
They're gonna cover, bro.
See, now this one scares me. Johnny, go ahead.
Because divisional, they're gonna.
I can't. You can't count out Mike Tomlin. I mean, like anything that revolves around Pittsburgh, like I'm going under. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not taking it. I'm sorry. Mike Tomlin. I think Mitch Trubisky is a little bit better than what people think. I mean, he didn't have a coach. I really think that Trubisky's going to have some weeks where you're going to be like, oh wow, he's maybe not a scrub.
I agree, John, but we're talking about week 1 right here, bud. We're talking about against them Bengals, dude. And against them Bengals, I'm very strong that they're going to win by a touchdown.
And we're not even talking about Pittsburgh's defense. Pittsburgh's defense last year, I mean, was amazing when they were healthy. Honestly, this is a division rival. I think that, people are so high on Burrow and what he did and going into this year, but, history, this was the first year Cincinnati was good. Pittsburgh's been a stable in that division for such a long time. Not ready to crown anybody just yet, especially in the beginning of the season. I'm just not taking it right now.
Hey, listen, that's a safe route. I'm with that. But like they increased that offensive line. Mixon's a beast. Chase is an animal. You still got T. Higgins. I think it's going to be a problem over there. I call a touchdown. They're going to win by a touchdown. What's the points?
It's 6.5. 6.5. Laying 6.5 with an over under 44. So it's a low over under.
That is a low, and that's another juicy one though.
If you think that John thinks that they're going to be super competitive, so John would take the over in that game probably.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
I'd probably take.
Niners, Bears. This game might have a touch of weather, and the Niners are favored by 7 points with a very low. Because again, the touch of weather I think is actually affecting this game, but in general, it's just a super low 40.5.
Like heavy rainish, or
I'm not super clear on that. That's why I went with a touch of weather.
I like that.
There's just a little touch of weather in this game. A little bit of weather.
I'm gonna put my snow hat on.
You don't know. You never know. I think you should get a reversible hat, some sort of multi-purpose type thing. But anyway, 40.5, which is ultra low, but the Bears are projected to be pretty rough. The Niners are projected to have a pretty good offense pretty good defense and a pretty rough offense.
Chicago's so bad this year. I mean, I really think that they're going to be one of those teams where they're just getting blown out. And they're going to be one of those teams where, in the fourth quarter, Darnell Moody catches 8 balls and has a touchdown, and you're like, he caught it. When there's one of those. They're definitely going to screw up someone's week because I think they're going to be the ones every week of how bad are they going to lose by. That's my predictions on them. So I'm going to take the over on this one.
Oh, you will take the over.
I'll take the over for this game, though.
Oh, okay. So you think the Niners are going to put up some points?
I do. Nice. I really do. I actually, I'm that's going to segue into later on in the show. I have a prediction about San Fran this year.
Ooh, a little teaser.
Ooh,
Anthony, you got any feels on this game? This Niners Bears?
I mean, when you say that there's a touch of weather, that changes the game. But for me, I mean, Chicago's is poop, but they do have some weapons and there is some threat there. I don't think. I mean, Justin Fields, he's not terrible. He could run around. I do like Mooney. I like Komet. I'm a little high on them. More because there will be some garbage time for them to be able to get those points. But I do feel a little bit like it won't be how you felt about, I think it was Houston, but they'll lose, but they won't get blown out. They're going to score some points. They're going to do that.
See,
Yeah.
one area where I think I have to push back is the fact where they don't really. I don't think they do have very many weapons. Like I think it's Fields. I think Komet is going to be a really solid volume play for fantasy, and he's a good player. He's a good real life player, but he's not great. And then you got
Montgomery's
Darnell
still gonna
Moody
run.
is a fine number 2, but they really do need to continue to build that roster around him. But I do think they'll be somewhat competitive. If it was Bears, Texans, who you got? That'd be an interesting one. That'd be a good one to
That
like
would
just
be a good one.
good one to not watch and just check out and see who won it later. Okay, Saints Falcons 5.5. This is another. This is a point spread that I want to hear. I want to hear you guys talk
This
about.
is the loveliest one. This is my favorite take out of anyone. This matchup right here is the moneymaker. I'm taking the under.
The under?
I'm taking under.
I've never seen somebody so excited to take the under. Okay, talk about it. So you think the Falcons are basically just going to not put up any points because the Saints defense is so damn good?
Dude, I'm going to put it this way.
I
think the Saints this week are going to put up the highest points in general. I really think that they're absolutely go. And on top of that, they are 4-1 against the spread, by the way.
Over what period of time?
Over the last last 5 times they played, they've been 4-1.
Just in general?
Just in general, yep. Against the Falcons, yep.
Oh, against the Falcons.
Yes, against the Falcons.
You're gonna need to clean that stat up there, tough guy. Anthony, what do you got?
What's the total points? Sorry,
it's 5.5. The Saints are laying 5.5, and the total points is 43. Johnny's got the under, but he's still got the Saints scoring the most points of anybody in the league this week. Which we already agreed is going to be 44 or more in the first game. But anyway, yeah, John's math is like super complex.
So Saints are winning 41-0.
42-0.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with the over on the points there, and I'm gonna take the Saints covering. I love me some Jameis.
Yeah.
Let's see what this corrective eye surgery has done. I do love it. Kamara is still an animal, still an underrated animal, and I'm looking dead in your face when I say that for multiple reasons, and you know why. Was it Olave? Olave's going to shine there.
Their receiving core is really solid. Their running backs.
My question being for me is like, what is Michael Thomas this year?
I'm interested. The Saints, I think 5.5. You got to kind of lay those points and trust them to beat the hell out of the Falcons and also hold the Falcons' offense, which is another offense. They really don't have too many weapons. Just like the Bears, they have the tight end, they have a receiver, and they have some other guys. So, yeah, that could be a game. But the over.
Well, maybe Calvin Ridley will come back.
He can't. He's suspended for the whole year. Even if he wanted to come back, he can't because he bet. It's like his whole situation is just such a mess. It went from being like a shame to just being a mess. The Patriots and the Dolphins. Now the Dolphins are actually favored in this game by 3.5 points, and the over/under is at 46.5. Now a lot of people are questioning whether the Patriots are going to be able to move the ball. Their offense has not looked good so far in the preseason and in training camp and so on and so forth. There's plenty of storylines on the Patriots, and one of them is the offensive coordinator situation where they're going back and forth between Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, and that whole thing just sounds ridiculous to me.
I think New England is. I'm going to be honest with you. Between both these teams, I'm going to go.
You better always be honest with me.
The Patriots, you can't count out the Patriots, man. I think Miami, they have a rookie head coach going against one of the greatest coaches of all time. I mean, sorry, but I think the Patriots win this game.
Oh, really? Moneyline.
I have the Patriots winning this game, baby.
So I better see a snapshot of a money line bet by you, John.
If the Patriots money line isn't put into your parlay, then I'll be very upset. Anthony, where are you at on this
positive
game?
numbers right there. So the total points on this game, I kind of would stay away from. I'm a little sketched out by it. I do think Miami's going to win and cover. And you are right. You can never count out the Patriots. I just think that there's a lot of shit going on over there. There's just a hot mess, right? They don't know who's going to carry the ball, right? Is it Harris? Is it Ramondre? Is it going to be split back committee? Who's the main receiver? right? Like what's going on there? And we need a game, I think, to at least see it, right? Like an actual official game, not a preseason game. I want to know, is Devontae Parker? Did I go out on a limb and grab him in best ball because I think that he's going to be the guy? Maybe. But I'm going to say I would stay away from the points, and I think Miami's going to cover the spread. You cannot count out the cheetah. Fastest man alive.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure he's even the fastest guy in the league right now. Yeah, see, the Patriots, in the first game, I think they're going to struggle a little bit, like you're saying, and the Dolphins have a lot to prove. They have a whole lot to prove in this first game, so I would kind of lean Dolphins here. Browns and Panthers are right now an even pick, and the over-under is at 42. This is a crap fest.
Yeah,
fellas, this is not.
Who's getting the points?
Nobody. It's an even pick.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
It was Carolina at first.
I feel like it wasn't at first, right? It definitely has changed.
Yeah, it has changed. It's evened out.
Oh,
I think it was both ways. I think it's been both. Like both teams were favored at one point during this process, and now they're
they don't know what's going on. I think this is like the juiciest story of the week, right?
Well, I mean, you're certainly entitled to feel that way.
Well, I mean, what
Baker
goes in against Browns, you know.
The best line I heard, I think, was like Nick Chubb, and they were like, "Well, what do you think about Baker this week?" And he's like, "Well, we all know Baker, so we don't know what to expect."
That's nice. Well, listen, you got Christian McCaffrey, which is an elite weapon, but so is Nick Chubb. I don't know. I mean, to me, the Browns they went out and made that choice with Deshaun Watson, right? And they went and they did all those things. To me, that means in their mind, like they're so close, right? Like you're to like feeling like you have the championship team, that you went out there and all you need is that quarterback and you went and get that guy. I think the Browns have a very, very, very good team.
I'm not so sure that that's the case for him. I think that they just went and, I don't know about that.
I feel like they have a very, very good team, and if they had a very good quarterback.
I don't know about that either. Do they have a really good team? They're I don't know about that. Yeah, I'm a little I'm not with you on that one, bud.
Hey, listen, we're never gonna all be with each other.
Yeah, I guess not. The Jaguars are gonna be with the Commanders. The Commanders are favored 2.5 points.
Oh, I'm going hard. This is my DK, baby.
This is your DK?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Christian Kirk and Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, your stack, you mean?
Hard stack, both under $6,000.
Oh, you see, now that's what I'm talking about. We'll get to that. We'll get to a DK lineup in a minute.
No, but I think the Jaguars are going to have a better year than last year. I think everybody could agree with that. But I take them. I think Washington, especially now with the whole running back situation, Gibson they turned him to be the kick returner, and which usually like leads to something, right? Like he's not going to return kicks and also run the ball. But then homeboy, went and had some significant thing happen. So now I don't know. Washington's another one, hot mess. I think it's Jaguars all day.
This is another underdog that you're picking, and I'm on this one as well. Johnny?
I'm on the same boat, man. I think Jacksonville this year is going to be they're going to be one of the surprise teams this year. Doug Peterson, got a lot to prove. Trevor Lawrence had a terrible rookie season, definitely wants to live up to that hype. I mean, when he was coming out of college, people were comparing him to Andrew Luck. Like this, he's like the last time that talent like that came out was Andrew Luck, which is saying a lot. And Andrew Luck was compared to obviously Peyton or whatever. So I think that in terms of the Jacksonville Jaguars, this offense is going to be fun to watch. This year, I think actually Jacksonville is going to be more organized and actually win some. They're gonna definitely spoil some over and under some spreads this year. Jacksonville is going to be the surprise this year.
Nice. Yeah, I like them. I like them to be sneaky competitive too. Giants, Titans. Start of the 425 games It's at Titans. They're favored by 5.5 points, which makes it interesting. Now, I think this game has a little more than a touch of weather. I think they've been having bad weather all week there, so that could affect the field quality a little bit.
Is there an over/under on if Barkley gets hurt during this tad bit of weather? Because that's
There should be. I'm sure on some books there's probably some sort of thing you can get there, like how many, like what's his percent of snaps played or something like that. You could probably find that somewhere.
well, because you know how it happens,
It's
right?
dark, but you could find it, I'll bet.
Tad of weather equals more running equals this guy trying to break his back for an inch.
Well, that's just the way he runs. That's his style. Titans. I mean, it could potentially be a very heavily rushing based game,
Which wouldn't be good
for both teams.
Yeah.
Johnny, 5.5 point line. What do you like?
Oh man, this is gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna take the over.
This
I'll
guy
take
with
the
his
over.
Overs and unders. Staying away from the spread.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
taking the over.
Fair enough.
Taking the over.
Yeah, see, I kind of like maybe the under and the Titans in this one. Packers Vikings. Now this is a tasty 46.5 point line, John, and the Packers are favored by just 1 point
The Packers are favored by a point.
on the road at the Vikings with an over under of 46.5.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh.
so this is very, very interesting because the Packers do have a great defense, but I could see a bunch of points get scored in this game.
I think I would take the over. I'm gonna take the over.
It's a very enticing over.
Because I mean, you have Dalvin Cook, who's a savage. You're gonna have Justin Jefferson, who's arguably the best wide receiver, right? You can't count out Adam Thielen for that red zone threat. So they're going to score, and regardless that there's no Devontae Adams on that team, Aaron Rodgers is still going to find a way to score as well.
You would think so.
Yeah.
I think that's what's holding this total down. Honestly, is the lack of bona fide weapons. And Lazard's not going to play, and I don't think that moves the line much. But it's just reassuring the fact that they don't have a ton of weapons at their disposal. So I think that's what's keeping this over under.
Well,
down.
I think that's a lot of 2 running back sets.
Agreed.
I'm gonna say Minnesota wins this game.
I'm calling Minnesota winning.
I'm calling Minnesota
that
winning
money
this
line.
game. I think that it's early in the season. I think that this is a very seasoned team. Green Bay lost some, a key receiver. Now you don't have Alan Lazard there. Lots of rookies out there. There's going to be some mistakes, man, and they're going to be in a hostile environment. You could be as good as you are, but Aaron Rodgers can't win games by himself. And although the Packers defense was great last year, obviously we saw in the end that their defense, couldn't, toward the end of the year, they started lacking. So I really think that Minnesota's going to really punch Green Bay in the face this first week. And then later down the road, I think Green Bay is going to turn it around. But Minnesota in the beginning of the year, I just think this team is just too seasoned.
Cool. That's a fair take. A lot of people like the Vikings this year to go to the playoffs. I might be one of them. We'll find out in a little bit. Kansas City at Arizona. Now this line moved all over the damn place, and now it's sitting at Chiefs laying 6 on the road with an over/under astronomical of 54. I'll just say right here before you go, guys, I'm taking the under in this game all day long. Who has a big feel for this game?
I would go with the under as well. I mean, you can't count out Mahomes and Murray, great, good quarterbacks for sure. Tyreek Hill is gone. That's a huge factor. Hopkins is out. That's another huge factor.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, these guys are out.
Yep.
If both players were there, I would say, let's go with that over. Let's go with that over because they're just going to go back and forth.
I would stay away from it at that point, but no, I'm taking the under hard here. John, where are you at?
I'm definitely staying away from this game. I don't like this game at all. I think Kansas City definitely needs some identity issues to kind of figure out. Also, Arizona, who's going to be the guy there. I just think that this is a really, really messy situation for both teams. They're trying to figure it out. They have injuries. They have weapons that are missing.
I think
just
that
too many
benefits. I think that benefits Arizona, though, don't you think, Anthony? the fact that both teams are sort of trying to figure it out. I think that Arizona being home and having a little more sort of like familiarity with their system and stuff. But I guess we'll find out.
Well, he's also got a new receiver to work with too, right?
But that's an old receiver because they played together in college. They
Hmm.
have a connection. Hollywood and Kyler have a connection. 425 Raiders, Chargers. These are two teams that everybody's
My
expecting
boy.
to be very good. Okay.
My boy.
And yes, vested interest from Anthony. Big. What's this guy's name again? I can't even think of it. It's Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert.
Told you, bro. The Giants could have got him, but he stayed in college another year because he knew that the Giants would grab him and he would
Right,
suck.
he pulled a Peyton Manning, and it's a 3.5 point spread. Chargers favored over the Raiders, and it's a 52.5 over under. Now this is a game I could see hitting the over because both of these offenses are pretty damn good, and they're both pretty established, and they've just kind of like bumped up a little bit in the offseason. But that spread, I just don't. I want to say that I would just lay the points and give me the Chargers, but I don't feel as good. But I would take the over in this game.
I'll take the over too, but I have Vegas winning this game.
Don't do my boy dirty like that, John.
For a split second, I was like, how is that going to happen? Was it going to be like a push? Is the house going to... And then I realized that there's a team in Vegas now. All right. No, that's fair.
Well,
So,
I think the Chargers are going to...
John, you're not wrong. And you do think... Yeah, well, you have a lot vested in the Chargers right now, so you kind of have...
I just think that I think they're going to win.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I do think they're going to win as well. I'm inclined to think that.
I think that Herbert's the best purebred quarterback, throwing quarterback, accurate quarterback in the league. He's going to throw for 5,000 yards. He's going to throw for 300 plus in this game.
Yeah, because his freaking head coach has him throw on the 4 downs, dude. Just keep throwing it. Like,
yeah, but that's cool as long because they can throw it to Eckler.
You can throw it to everybody on that team. Buccaneers, Cowboys, the Sunday night game, fellas.
That's an
Buccaneers on the road favored by 2.5 with an over-under of 50.5.
I take the under on that.
I'm with you there.
Right, because there's this whole controversy, right, with this whole Tom Brady. Oh, he was missing a little bit. He went and got plastic surgery. All right, the guy wanted to fix his face. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, he wants to. He wants to. He's the oldest guy in the league, and he wants to stay young. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
All right, I wouldn't do it, but hey, do your thing.
Now maybe like a little extra rug up top. Maybe you might think about something like that.
Wow, guys, hit me where it hurts here. Good thing the camera's not on. I don't know. Is this the year where he's a freak? What's his year like? Another story. Is this year where he just heavily declined?
It's always going to be a headline. For the rest of his career.
And it's so hard to after all these years. It's so hard to think that he could severely decline. Now he could just have a worse year than he did last year, but I just don't think it being a heavy decline. It's tough. I don't even know who to win. I hate the Cowboys. It's a tough game, right? They don't have Michael Gallup either.
Give me the Bucs in this game because you're only laying 2.5 points. Give me the Bucs in this game. I think the Cowboys are gonna struggle this year in general. Johnny, where are you at?
Like the Cowboys this year, actually. I think that they're gonna be a top 3
defense. Take that smile off your face when you say their name, John.
Yeah, but Dallas this year, they're going to have a top 3 defense. I really think that defense is going to be something special. I do agree with both of you guys that the offense is definitely going to be questionable, but I think Dak is good enough to ride the ship, and I think that this Dallas Cowboys team this year is going to ride their defense, and that's how they're going to win games this year, is literally their defense. I think they're going to win a lot of games this year. I have them coming out of the Nfc East. Again, I have that this defense is going to be really, really good. Dak's a good enough quarterback to honestly, I'm going to get to it later, but I have Dallas being a pretty special team this year.
Wow, nice. And
I agree, but like when I think of special, I think like the little bus.
I feel like there'll be somewhere in between those two things. Monday night, closing out the week. This is another big rivalry now. This is similar to the aforementioned Browns Panthers. This is Denver Broncos taking on Russell Wilson's former team, the Seattle Seahawks. It's almost like they did it on purpose. Monday night.
I was just gonna say they definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure. Denver is laying 6.5 on the road with a 44-point over under. Johnny, these are two numbers that you have to love.
I do. I like them a lot. I also think Seattle's just going to be so bad this year. They are going. I'm going to argue this. I really think that they are going to be the ones to have the number one overall pick this year. That's how bad I think Seattle's going to be this year.
Second,
I also think that Pete Carroll might get fired after this year. He will be a hot seat guy, definitely. I see that the Seahawks go in a different direction.
that
after
I'm not
this.
so sure I agree with you on, but that is a pretty spicy take that I do like. I do like it. Anthony, what do you think about this game, the Monday night game?
Well,
There's a lot of
I
sexy
think
names in this game.
I love sexy names. I think that Denver's gonna, obviously cover, clear it, wipe the slate. They fucking. I think it's gonna go over the 44. I think that the Broncos will score probably close to 30 on their own. And then Seahawks couple. You still got DJ Metcalf. You still have Tyler Lockett. They're gonna get some. They're gonna do something with the ball. So I think that they will go over that 44. This game is another one of my survivor picks.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Okay, now,
'Cause I go on that with 2. Yeah,
yeah, you have to. Yeah, I mean that's the only way to fly.
Scratch that itch, fam.
Hey, it's once a year for a couple of weeks. That's all we get. And so, with that being said, week 1, what we're gonna do each week, we're gonna put together a little 3-way parlay based on our takes that we just gave on each game, spreads and over-unders, and or money lines, of course. Money lines are always in play. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our parlay together. My parlay is going to be, drum roll please, the Denver Broncos laying the 6.5. Okay, and that's a -115. And I'm going to put that together with the Patriots Dolphins under 46.5. And then my dog that I'm throwing in there is Jaguars money line. So that's plus 66.67, and a dollar parlay pays out 767.
I don't want to have to use the same one, but like Jag money line was
That's
big
fine.
for me.
That's fine.
Because that's just one of those ones. I have the Bengals covering spread for me 6.5, and I have the Ravens covering the 6.5.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, you got a 683. So yours would pay out $7.83. Locking it in.
Locking and loading.
And then Johnny, what's your 3-way parlay for us? Read it off.
I'm gonna do the over under for the Saints Falcons.
Saints Falcons over or under?
Over.
Over. Got you. Next.
I'm gonna do same thing, money line for the Jags.
Oh baby,
And-
all 3 of us. We'll be all dumb together. Go ahead.
And then I'm going to do the. This is gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna do Baltimore. Baltimore with the spread.
We could all be dumb, or we could all go to Sizzlers.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So now Baltimore, and so you're at 683 as well. So John, you'd be paying out at 783. Lock it in.
Yep.
Okay, in this next segment, it's going to be our 3-man DK Showdown. Each week, we're going to play head-to-head on DK and try to build our best Sunday lineup, consisting of just the 1 o'clocks and 4 o'clock games, no night game, just the way that's the main slate. They have it there on DK. And so I will jump in and I'll just read down my lineup really quickly. I'll give you guys a little bit of a taste of what I'm thinking, and then we'll go to Johnny, and then we'll go to Anthony. How's that sound? Good? Great.
Sounds good.
Here we go. My quarterback for our showdown team is going to be none other than the man, Jalen Hurts, my boy, Jalen Hurts. I have a lot riding on him this year, and so do the Eagles. I think he's going to get numbies. He's going to get buckets. My running backs are Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, and then I'm flexing A.J. Dillon. I think all 3 of those guys are going to get hella work this week. My receivers are Justin Jefferson, Hollywood Brown, and Wan'Dale Robinson. He's a low-priced option who I think is going to get work, although I'm getting a little nervous about that, and I might have to take another look. But for this game, I'm going to stick with Wan'Dale Robinson, and he's going to be my low-priced receiver. Cole Kmet at tight end, and the Giants defense, just because that's who I have.
You have no money left.
And so, yeah, I put them together. I think I stacked them with Barkley, is maybe why I did that. So it's Hurts, McCaffrey, Barkley, Dillon, Jefferson, Hollywood, Wan'Dale, Komet Giants. Johnny, go.
All right, so I'm gonna start off with my quarterback first. I'm picking Jameis Winston against Atlanta. Like the number, pretty low. I think it's a reasonable number. It's a high reward for not that much. I have Jonathan Taylor running all over. Give me all that Jonathan Taylor. He will definitely be the number one, probably fantasy point in terms of points this week. Give me Mr. Travis Etienne against Washington. I love him.
Etienne. It's Etienne.
Etienne, Etienne, whatever. Sorry.
That's his sister.
All right. So I got Michael Thomas pairing up with Jameis Winston. I really think this pair is going to be dope. Similar to Dave, I like AJ Brown with Jalen Hurts, so I love me some AJ Brown against Detroit. I'm a little more high on Amari Cooper than most people. I think that actually he's gonna be a pretty good wide receiver. He's pretty much the only talent in terms of receivers, in my opinion, that's talented. So taking Amari in the first week, I think he's gonna perform pretty well. Next, you have Austin Pooper. I have Austin Pooper against your Giants, Anthony. I know you're not liking that pick, but I think Austin Hooper is going to have definitely.
Shut his shit down, John. We're locking it up.
Yeah, not without Blake Martinez. You ain't doing too much.
My home
Next, I have Darnell Moody. I think that that's a guy that, in terms of my flex, he's the only guy. It was really tough to pick it at this point, but I like me some Darnell Mooney, and then a defense picking the Jags against Washington.
Interesting there, John. I like that.
Nice. Anthony, you're up. What do you got?
All right. So for quarterback, a little low price there. I went Trevor Lawrence, stacked it up with Christian Kirk. They're both under 6,000, and I think they're gonna 3x their value. For running backs, I went Eckler and Najee Harris. Eckler's Eckler, right? That's going to be a big game. A lot of points scored, and he catches the ball a ton. So I went there. Najee, he's just like, to me, one of the only. Well, no, Deontay Johnson's there, a little banged up, right? But I think he's, he got the workload last year 2. Let's continue that process. Wide receivers, I went Marquis Brown and Juju. Juju was a little more of a risky take. He's also actually fairly priced, but it's Patrick Mahomes. They're going against Arizona. It's going to be a good game. I'm just kind of banking on him being the guy and staying healthy, or at least for week 1. Flexed AJ Dillon. I am so high on AJ Dillon this year. When your quarterback comes out and says, "I hate my receivers," and and then it's just pretty much Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. I think it's just going to be a lot of 2 running back sets, and they're going to just take the workload. And then tight end, Hawkinson, my boy. I think that's going to be a good game for him to get some points. And then I have Eagles D.
We don't really have to go too much more into this. It's pretty straightforward. We're just going to go again head to head. We're going to keep track of it throughout the season, and we're going to see who comes out on top. As we go along, we're going to try and look at the decisions we made that were good, the decisions we made that were bad. We'll try to hold ourselves and each other accountable and try to get a little bit better. Iron sharpens iron. Okay, so now we're going to transition a little bit away from the daily fantasy to the actual NFL. And we're going to do a little bit of preseason predictions. You guys ready for some preseason predictions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk about those divisions that Johnny was referring to earlier. Okay, let's start there then. NFC East. Johnny's got Dallas Cowboys winning that division. Anthony, where are you at right now?
With that division, I mean, to be honest, it's not like he's wrong. It's going to be either Dallas or Philly, but I'm leaning Philly. They went out and they beefed up the D. They went out and they got AJ Brown. They still have, what's his name, that they drafted last year. I think their only question mark to me, and they were always a run heavy offense, is who's their running back, like who's going to be their guy, is it going to be a committee thing? But
his name is
I think his name's the quarterback. I think it's going to be him. I'm sorry, I think it's going to be them rather. Eagles are going to come out on top, but don't think that it's not going to be close, or that Dallas can't pull it out either. But if I'm betting that, I'm going to go Eagles, and I want to throw up because my 2 options I have
Well, anybody other than the Giants is going to be tough for you to swallow. But I will go one step further and say that the Eagles will win by a couple of games. It's not. I don't think Dallas is going to be close at all. So I guess we'll see how that develops as we go along. Yeah, I think the rest of the division outside the Eagles are going to struggle. On the AFC side in the East, I'm sure we probably are all in agreement here. Anybody not have Buffalo winning the AFC East?
Did anybody?
Everybody's got Buffalo.
Okay, then we can move right along. The NFC North. NFC North is an interesting one. I've got the Packers.
I'm taking Minnesota this year.
Okay.
I got the Vikings, Johnny.
I have Minnesota winning the NFC North this year, and I have Green Bay as a wild card team.
I am exactly with you, John. And my reason being is I think it's just going to take them too long to just get it together.
Okay.
You know, like their receiving issue. I think it's just going to take too long, too many games missed, and Minnesota just getting too ahead. I think that's just going to be the case.
That's fair. That's very fair. I have it reversed. I have Green Bay and then Minnesota getting a wild card berth. But we'll get to that in a minute. The AFC North, John.
Bengals.
Oh, okay. We got one Bengals from Anthony. Johnny.
Baltimore.
Yeah, you see, I'm going Baltimore here too. I think
Baltimore.
I'm betting also with like that. They always say that the team who loses the Super Bowl struggles. So like that was my deciding factor, and it really makes no sense.
Oh, really?
That's
No,
not
I
a
mean,
good
but
reason to make that decision.
Lamar's fighting. Isn't this like his year to get paid after this year? So he's probably going to try and like outstandingly play as well.
They are, yeah. They're working on a contract for him. So he's got what he's got to do is let his agent work right out the contract and not poop his pants. That's the most important thing. So we got two Baltimores and we have a Bengals, and then in the NFC South, this is a fun one.
I'm going the Saints this year, man. I honestly think that the Saints this year are going to be making some noise, man. I don't think Jameis is no scrub, man. I really think that Jameis this year learns how to protect the football a little bit better. That defense is no joke. They made Brady's life a living hell last year. I really think that they could possibly make some noise this year. I mean, if Jameis didn't go down with that knee injury last year, we would be talking about the Saints possibly, making a push for Tampa Bay last year. But Jameis got hurt. So I think that this year is the year that they I know that offensive line is questionable with that team, but I think they have enough weapons with Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. I like that rookie Olave over there. That team is going to be something to watch this year. New Orleans wins the division for sure.
I'm a New Orleans guy as well. Anthony, where do you land?
I like New Orleans. Like I said, I'm Jameis Winston. I think he's gonna do just fine over there. I think he's gonna come out on top for sure.
AFC
As much as
South.
I do like the Bucks, but I think I'm gonna run down on Tom Brady this year and go win with the Saints.
Nice. Well, there's plenty of wild card space for Tom.
They're always it.
What do you like in the AFC South?
AFC South, Indianapolis.
Johnny?
AFC South, I like Indy.
That's a clean sweep for me as well, Indianapolis. And then the NFC West, the very hotly contested NFC West. Now, full disclosure, we just watched the Rams get their poop holes resized by the Bills on the opening game on Thursday night. So that is going to be a little bit of recency bias there. But with all that being said, who do you like winning the NFC West?
Up until, if you would have asked me before last night,
Go ahead.
I would have said the Rams.
Okay.
But I watched the game, as I'm sure many people did, and I watched the way he carried himself with his arm, Stafford. Like, just you see there's some discomfort there. There's some uncomfortability, and I don't know how long it's going to last or how he's still Matthew Stafford. The guy's a fucking G. But I had some ligament issues in my life, and I saw how he was just catering to it, and I don't know. I don't think it's gonna end well. I'm gonna go with a safer route, and I'm gonna go Arizona.
Okay, Johnny.
It's a tough division, man.
I'm Arizona as well,
man.
by the way, and it was basically came down to that type of thing where I was like, all right, well, I could have been convinced that the Rams were. Oh, you know what? Never mind. Johnny.
I'm gonna take San Fran this year, man. Taking
Okay.
San Fran this year. I really think that this kid Trey Lance is gonna make us like you gave up Jimmy G for Trey Lance. It's for a reason. I think the Shanahan brilliance of this is going to show later in the year. We only have a sample size of what Trey Lance is, but if it's what I mean, they're benching Jimmy G. So in my opinion, like if they could do better than Jimmy G, oh my God, this team's going to make a run for it easily. This is the team I think that's going to be very hard to beat. I have San Fran winning this division for sure.
Nice. I like that. I like that reasoning. I like that reasoning a lot. I was Arizona as well. I just, for me, the QB struggles scare me a little bit. I feel like maybe next year is San Fran's year, but it remains to be seen. AFC West, the final division, probably the best division, right? Because
Yeah, I think this is the
every team could
juiciest
win it.
one.
Yeah. Anthony, I think we all know where you're going. You're a Chargers all the way.
Yeah, right now I'm Chargers, but like to me it's so hard. Only reason why I'm going them is because it's a team that's already been, all these weapons, all these players. They've been playing with each other. They've been playing with each other phenomenally. The Raiders, they were a little hot and cold. They just got Devontae Adams. They did a bunch of things, sure. And then same thing, Denver. They had some weapons. They went out and got Russ. So I think like they're gonna have a great year, but I just think that the Chargers are just gonna be one step ahead.
So my AFC West is going to be Kansas City.
Okay.
You can't. I'm sorry. Kansas City this year. I'm gonna say that you can't count out Andy Reid. I almost feel like he almost has that Belichick effect of me of like he's been so good. I mean, until the Kansas City Chiefs stop going to AFC championships, then you tell me that they ain't gonna win. Like they've won the division pretty much every single year. They own this division right now, and I have Kansas City easily winning this division. I just think the competition. Yeah, I just think like yes, it's competitive. I'm not gonna argue that, but Kansas City is definitely. They're gonna figure out a way to win some games because they
So
have
Kansas
Patrick
City's
Mahomes.
gonna beat the Chargers twice. Ooh, John, the best team in the
I
division
honestly
could do
think that the
John.
Chargers are going to be one of those. I think the Chargers are going to be one of those teams where they have a great offense. I just think I don't trust that coaching staff. That's my biggest problem with the Chargers. They make some like in that division, the margin for error is so slim, and if you look at how those teams are measured up, I think it's going to go down to coaching, and I think that the Chargers coaching staff is probably, in my opinion, the most inferior out of the four teams.
Hey,
Interesting take. I can't wait to see how that plays out. I can't wait to see if that bears itself out because that is an interesting take for sure. And you can't argue. I don't think anybody could really argue. I mean, you can say what you want about any of the other three coaches in the division, but Andy Reid is pretty inarguable. You can't really. He's the best coach in that division, and it's not close.
Wild cards or NFC wild card is going to be the LA Rams, the Buccaneers, and Green Bay. And then for the AFC wild card, it's going to be Cincy, Denver, and Vegas. AFC Championship is going to be Buffalo versus Baltimore. NFC Championship is going to be Minnesota, New Orleans. Playing in the Super Bowl, I have Buffalo versus New Orleans in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God, that would be great. And who do you have winning?
And I have Buffalo winning the Super Bowl.
Wild cards: Rams, Packers, Cowboys, and Ravens, Broncos, Titans.
Ooh, baby, the Titans making an appearance on the show. Love it.
Yeah.
Who's your final four?
You always have to remember the Titans.
Sorry.
Look at you. Terrible.
So Buffalo, Chargers, Vikings, Arizona.
Interesting. Super Bowl?
Buffalo, Vikings.
And your winner is?
Buffalo.
Nice. My wild cards are the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Broncos, and the Lions, the Vikings, and Tampa Bay.
Ooh.
The Lions.
Tigers and Bears. Oh my.
Then I have
What is going on in the world?
I have
when
I
that
put
happens?
I placed a future for them to make the playoffs, and then my AFC
Playoffs.
my AFC Championship game is Buffalo and the Chargers, also Anthony, with Buffalo winning it, and then I have Green Bay and Philly playing in the NFC Championship with Philly winning it.
Ew.
Buffalo and Philly playing in the Super Bowl with Philly winning it.
Get out. Take that shit outside.
And so that's our NFL predictions for this season. Let's see how we did. Okay, so now it's time for the league rundown. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our actual own home fantasy league, and we are going to do a really quick roster roast. Okay, we're going to take a look at how the draft turned out right in advance of week 1, and then we are going to do our key matchups. The first team that we're going to take a look at is the team that won the championship last year, okay, and that is the Moth. The roster for the Moth, okay, is an interesting one. And the Moth did not draft his own team. He's got Dak Prescott and Justin Fields sitting on the bench. Okay, he's got CeeDee Lamb, so he's got the Dak CD stack, which is quite nice. And then he's got Jalen Waddle and Marquis Brown. Joe Mixon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dawson Knox was his tight end. Darnell Moody, we've talked about him a little bit earlier in this show. He makes the Fields Mooney stack, which is delicious. Breece Hall, the second flex. And then the rest of his bench, Nico Collins, Isaiah McKenzie, Kenny Gainwell, Raheem Mostert, Brevin Jordan. This is our champion. What say you?
That is the sound of a toilet bowl flushing
Yeah.
with poop in it. I think huge. First of all, it's not like super flex league, guys. It's regular. So you don't need as many quarterbacks as this guy had, especially 2 of them being, top 10 guys.
Wait a second. Justin Fields is the other quarterback, Chief. Let's not get carried away here.
Didn't you? Oh, I thought you said Joe Burrow. I'm sorry.
No.
I think he's always got a solid team. I think whoever drafted for him did a decent job drafting for him, especially that Dak CeeDee Lamb. I like that a lot. I like the Marquise Brown pick early in the season. Like Joe Mixon was on my draft board, so I think his team is pretty solid. I'm interested to see how Nico Collins does for his fantasy team. I think that pick right there is going to definitely be a sleeper for the year, and I think that eventually Nico Collins might be slotting into his flex eventually in future weeks.
Agreed. Yeah, he's got a couple strengths. He's got a handful of weaknesses, but he's always somebody who manages the team very well over the course of the season. He's one of those guys. Like there's a few players in our league that you can feel good even if they have a bad early season roster or like a roster that doesn't look as favorable after the draft. You still feel good knowing that they're going to turn it into something at the end of the season. Somebody else who turns it into something at the end of the season very often is Tyler Fight Club. Went with the Trey Lance. He's also got Deshaun Watson on the bench and Kirk Cousins. Okay, we got a 3-quarterback situation here, guys. A 3-quarterback situation. T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Alan Lazard in the starting lineup as of now. Not expected to play this week. He's got Jonathan Taylor. He's got the ghost of Cam Akers, Mark Andrews, Devin Singletary, Tyler Boyd, and then he's got Olave, Tunyon, Zamir White, James Robinson, and again, 2 quarterbacks are hogging bench spots. Anybody have anything?
He was the worst person. I mean, whoever was drafting for Albie was drinking bleach. I'm dead serious. It's that bad. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take a very hot take on him. Number one, he had a terrible keeper. James Robinson is not even a person.
That's not
he's
even
putting.
his. He can't even do anything about that, though.
Yeah, like there's nothing he could do about that, but it's just like it's unfortunate. We're talking about like it's just a terrible keeper. Number one, he drafted 3 quarterbacks. Out of the 3 quarterbacks that I think that are going to be relevant, I mean, starting Trey Lance, in my opinion, I like Kirk Cousins for him this week. Obviously, right now it's not looking good for him. Cam Akers had literally 0 fantasy points. A highlight for him, if I wanted to be a little bit more like there's a guy on your team that like could be somebody very special, is that kid Chris Olave. Out of anybody that he picked, I think that pick right there is somebody that's going to be definitely a contributor. I have a feeling that that guy is going to be a difference maker in Albie later down in the road. He's going to be definitely a focal point in his offense if Albert's going to turn around this year. But right now, his team is not looking very hot. I think that he's definitely going to have a slow start. But again, like you mentioned, I think that he'll definitely figure out a way. But his team right now is just not looking good, in my opinion.
Anthony, Johnny says that Albie's team is hot garbage. What say you?
I say it's hot, stinky garbage.
Oof. Double down. The golden showers. Speaking of smelly, stinky garbage, the golden showers have your boy Joe Burrow. So now you can start thinking in terms of Joe Burrow. And he got auto-picked the automatic Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack, which is actually quite nice. He's also got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Brandon Ayuk, his third receiver, is a little questionable right there. Starts to get a little thin. DeAndre Swift, very solid RB1. Josh Jacobs, very questionable RB2. Kyle Pitts, awesome tight end 1. Devontae Smith and Ramondre Stevenson, who I think are both awesome flexes. And then you got another guy with a quarterback on the bench, Jameis. Melvin Gordon, Jamal Williams, Jarvis Landry, MVS, and Irv Smith.
Yeah, I'm not big on the multiple quarterback situation, or you know, tight end maybe, depending if you got like 2 deep round guys, but like it's still not even. You know, if you're gonna choose between 2, you might as well stream.
Yeah, I think if you spend a high pick on it like Pitts, then you're not gonna waste a bench spot on another tight end. But that's just me. I love the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack. Love Amon-Ra. The receivers after that get shaky. After the first running back, the running backs get shaky. So he's a stars and scrubs lineup, but he's somebody who, if he stays in it, he could potentially get stronger over the course of the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I think eventually Jameis Winston probably scores more fantasy points than Joe Burrow this year.
Stop yourself.
I'm gonna argue
Stop
that
yourself.
this year.
Team Blumpkin, Josh Allen. The Josh Allen Gabe Davis stack. That's a nice little stack.
I think that should be a side gentleman's bet, FYI.
Jameis versus Joe Burrow.
I don't know.
For
We're
total
live,
overall
you're
fantasy
right.
points? I would be glad to make that bet right now. Johnny.
I'm down for it.
Total season end fantasy points. Joe Burrow versus Jameis Winston. Done. Book it.
It's here. It's recorded.
Book it. Thank you.
Book 'em, Danny.
We got the Gabe Davis, Josh Allen. We got Rashad Bateman, Robert Woods, where it gets a little thin. Dalvin Cook, Chase Edmonds, very good running back tandem. Plus Travis Kelce, we're looking really nice right there. Lockett, McLaurin gets a little thin as well. And then you got Michael Carter, Njoku, Algier, Pierce, Rashad White, Christian Watson. He's got a lot of stabbing in the dark on his bench. A couple of really stud players in the starting lineup, but then a couple of definite question marks. Anybody have anything that they like or hate about Team Blumpkin? Aside from the Josh Allen stack.
He always has. He's another one. He's always pretty solid. I mean, you have Josh Allen. You have the best quarterback in football. So I mean, it's pretty good. Gabe Davis is going to be a good number 2. He showed that. Yeah. To me, the question is, is Woods gonna come back okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that third receiver starts to get a little question mark, and then those when it gets to thin, if it starts to get thin before your flexes, that's where I think you start to get in trouble.
Right.
Like
and then he's got his decent mountain, and then he just there was this turn, and he hit it, and he fell. And it just keeps falling.
I think it's a middle of the pack team. Again, you don't want to get into your flexes, just similar to you, and start getting really shaky. I honestly think that he could score just a lot of fantasy points. I'm going to say this, that Josh Allen, just having Josh Allen, that Gabe Davis might win him some weeks, to be honest with you, and Dalvin Cook. I think he has 3 players on his team that can score top 10 in a week, and that's the reason why I
Kelce
think
could be in that conversation as well, frankly.
Yeah, that he just simply has Dalvin Cook and Josh Allen as, one of the top scorers in the league. and they win him a week. So I think just Blumpkin having Josh Allen is just such an advantage, and having just another one or two guys definitely builds it out. I think that his team overall is not like again, when you get to that flex, you don't want to be where he's at. But I just think that there's some like a Dalvin Cook, a Gabe Davis, and a Josh Allen, like that could just simply, those three guys can win you a week.
For sure. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Omar's team. Here's another wild ride. Russ Wilson at quarterback. Mr. Unlimited. Russell Wilson. Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Eli Moore at receiver. Those are three pretty solid receivers. Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Darren Waller, Sanders, Devontae Parker. And then you got Russell Gage, DJ Chark, Robbie Anderson, KJ Hamler, Randall Cobb, Cordell Patterson. His bench is a whole bunch of junk. His starting lineup isn't bad. It's really actually not. Like, David Montgomery is like iffy depending on matchup and whatnot, but he's going to get a lot of work. And then Sanders, he's the guy who you're not really sure he's going to get much work at all. And then Parker, huge gamble. The rest of the lineup outside those three players is pretty solid. So, you know, how does he manage that roster?
Pretty good team. Question mark for Sanders for me, huge. I think he's going to be okay with Parker. I think he'll get some he'll get some flex volume for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sanders to me is a huge question mark. Waller, I was a little iffy on. I stayed away from Waller. I just went either before or after him. So he's a little bit of an iffy one for me.
I think Waller's whole situation was a contract dispute that they called a hamstring. Honestly, I think it was like a complete fake story, and he wasn't actually injured.
I like the lineup. I just don't think that this team has a wow person outside of Derrick Henry and Russell Wilson. I think that this team is a very, very, very solid team. I think that this team is going to win you a bunch of games. I could see Omar sometime in this season lose against a guy like we mentioned before, a Blumpkin, where it's just so top heavy with that they have that. But I would say that overall the team is just a really solid team. I thought that he had a really great draft. And if he can manage his team pretty well and stay healthy, obviously, I think this team could be a playoff team.
It's a solid team, but nothing special about it. But now check out top heavy right here. 11 amateurs, 1 pro. Mahomes, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel is beastly. However, James Conner, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Gesicki, Tony Pollard, Hunter Renfrow. And then you got James Cook, Madison, Ingram, Corey Davis, Laviska Shenault, and another defense on the bench. He's got.
See, here what happened is somebody started the draft, and then somebody came and like punched that person in the face and took over, or that person came back really disheveled because you can't. You
smoked some crack or something,
right? Because like you started out with Justin Jefferson. And then you come around Cooper Kupp, awesome, totally fine. Your
Deebo.
First, right? You bang, 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 and then you just died. What happened?
It's wild because like at first I was looking at his roster, I was like, "Holy shit, this guy's gonna win the championship!" And then I was like, "Oh wait, no, we're good.
That's exactly what Johnny said. He's like, "Who do you think's gonna have the best team?" I wasn't really looking. I was like, "It's got to be the dude who started with Justin Jefferson. He's probably got like the best potential shot." You know.
Oh please, he started better off by a large margin than anybody else. And his first, like I said, the top 4 guys, Mahomes, Kupp, Samuel, Jefferson, is beastly. And as John was mentioning, that could win him weeks. Simply just that could win him weeks. But
for sure, and it will.
Of the team, that's 4 out of 10 spots.
And it will for sure win
that's
him.
Playing with fire. The Rogues, Lamar, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Drake London, Nick Chubb, Eli Mitchell, Dallas Goedert, Penny, Damian Harris. Stafford does not look good. Traylon Burks, Albert O, Jahan Dotson, Sammy Watkins, Mike Davis. A bunch of players who have some potential value on his bench. So his bench is actually one of the best benches we've looked at so far.
Man, I really think that wide receiver, he's really after Devontae Adams, there's a lot of question marks. I mean, DK Metcalf with Geno Smith throwing to him, I'm not liking that. Marcus Mariota throwing Drake London, a rookie that's just learning the ropes, not liking that. But I would say this: I think the Lamar, Devontae Adams, and having Chubb and Mitchell, if Mitchell could stay healthy, possibly could be very high scoring, a lot of points. And big question mark on Rashad Penny and Damon Harris because those situations are just very shaky. But I do like his tight end situation. I think that his team is definitely solid. I just think that it's missing some pieces that could develop, and I could definitely see Narc making some additions to boost his team up. Again, I have Narc probably starting off a little slow, but he's another guy that he just figures out a way.
I mean, John said it pretty well. I do like his tight end situation. I mean, he even went Alberto, but
I think his team is very questionable in a sense that
I think it's middle of the pack team, but he's a good manager, and we assume that. Okay, you know what? Like, yeah, let's see what he's like at the end of the year, and then he'll come out of this one way or another. Maybe some of those bench guys turn out.
Yeah. See, the thing for me is Eli Mitchell and Penny are so injury prone that I feel like if they go down, if you take those two guys off this team, it looks completely different. It's just
so he's a middle of the pack team, but good manager. I think we'll see, but just looking at it, nah.
Drunken Bums is more competitive than people actually realize. Kyler Murray, Stephon Diggs, Christian Kirk, Kadarius Toney, Leonard Fournette, A.J. Dillon, Freiermuth. He's got Kittle, but Kittle's not going to play this week. He does have Kittle and Freiermuth. So this is like the one guy who was lucky he did draft 2 tight ends. Then he's got Kareem Hunt in the other flex. And then he's going to have to pick one of these guys, Naeem Hines, Sky Moore, Joshua Palmer, Isaiah Spiller, or nope, because he's got a quarterback and a defense on the bench. So no, that's it. That's all he's got. He's gonna have to play one of those guys in place of George Kittle.
You gotta love Diggs. I like Murray. I'm big on Kirk because I think of the Trevor Lawrence and Stack. Between them, that's gonna be his guy. They went out, they paid him, and then to me it falls right because Kadarius Toney, talented dude, but he's made worse than my knees are, and I just think that he's just not going to be involved. But if he's on the field, but he's a question mark for me, to be honest. I think Wandell Moore is Robinson's gonna be the favorite. Fournette, I'm cool with Fournette and Dillon.
Agreed.
Fournette,
and
I think
Hunt,
is just
actually.
Oh yeah, Hunt too. But for his like RB1-2, I'm fine with that 1-2. I think that's a good 1-2. Even though AJ Dillon's ranked lower, I think he's just gonna have a great year. Freiermuth, good, okay. The fact that you would have been flexing a tight end to me, But anyway, no, another one, middle of the pack. It's an average team. It does have a couple bangers on there.
We love a good banger from time to time. Beer Muscles, Tom Brady. Snaked Tom Brady away from John. Stole him in the night. Tyreek Hill, Brandon Cooks, Jerry Jeudy. That's where it gets a little thin for me. Christian McCaffrey, Travis Etienne, right? Travis Entemans is who it is. Dalton Schultz, Adam Thielen, AJ Green. That's a little wishy-washy too. Like, what are we doing here? Thielen should be in the starting lineup, and then Jeudy should be on the bench. Marvin Jones, J.D. McKissick, Hunter Henry, Kenneth Walker, Ken. So he's got Ken Walker and Brian Robinson on his bench. Brian Robinson not able to play right now because of gunshots. And then he has your boy Trevor Lawrence on his bench. So he's another 2-quarterback guy. John, you got anything?
I don't know what's wrong with these guys.
Anything about John, what's your favorite Entenmann's?
Oh man, that's a tough one, man. I like some Entenmann's cookies, bro.
Soft baked cookies, John. You right, bro. Milk chocolate.
So we got 2 chocolate cookies for the Entenmann's. All right, very good. See, my favorite Entenmann's is like the chocolate icing cake. All right, let's take a look at the Sizzler lineup real quick. We have a Herbert Eckler stack, which is very interesting. DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, yikes. Juju Smith-Schuster. And then we, like I said, Eckler and Javonte Williams. That's a really nice running back tandem. Hawkinson, nice tight end. Godwin, whose health is questionable but should get back soon enough. Pickens, Darrell Henderson, Pacheco, Dubs, Khalil Herbert, Kenny Golladay, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Johnny, what are your thoughts on this lineup?
I really think that his team is pretty overall a decent team. I don't think that there's something that you're like it's like, oh, this is dog shit. I think actually every player on his team is kind of has a lot of potential. I think his bench is pretty deep. He's got Henderson, Pacheco that might take that job in KC. A lot of people were hyping him up out of Rutgers. Every single guy on this on his roster could possibly make a definitely fantasy impact. I would say like his weakness is probably at wide receiver. Allen Robinson, again, like you, I just think Cooper Kupp is just going to catch a million balls. Allen Robinson might have a few blow-up games, but and I think that's the same thing that's going to happen to Juju this year, that he's going to have his hit or miss games. And you also have Baker Mayfield throwing to DJ Moore. So wide receiver is definitely weak for me. If I were the Sizzler, I would have definitely paired up that Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert pick and went all in on the Chargers offense this year.
That's easy for you to say, buddy. Pretty boy Johnny, PBJ, has Aaron Rodgers, Michael Thomas, Amari Cooper, Michael Pittman. He's got Najee and Saquon Barkley. He's got Zach Ertz. He's got Zeke and Antonio Gibson. He's got Chase Claypool, Zay Jones, Jalen Tolbert, Mark Ingram, Austin Pooper, and Kenyon Drake on the bench. Anthony, what are your thoughts on this lineup?
Gladly. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Michael Thomas, he's a story and a question to see what happens to him.
Mm-hmm.
Amari Cooper, I am not big on him, but, Michael Pittman, I think he's in a fine year. Najee Harris, another one, fine year. Barkley, I pray to Jesus he has a fine year with lots of potential. So that 1-2 stack in RB to me is very nice. Wide receiver, if Thomas is anything near, then his receivers are okay with for sure. Ertz, if he stays healthy, he'll be great. I think in the first half, and then he'll drop off. Zeke's a little question mark for me because of Tony Pollard, but he's still a fucking animal. Gibson I don't like. That's just me.
Neither do the Washington coaches.
Right, but I mean, listen, that's your second flex. It's okay. It's not for me to say, hey, my second flex is Antonio Gibson. That's not the worst thing you could say.
Agreed.
So I think this is a good team. I think this is a good team.
Yeah, I agree. And finally, sweep the leg. We got Jalen Hurts at quarterback, going with a Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown stack, and adding Cortland Sutton and Mike Williams at receiver. Kamara and Aaron Jones are your running backs. Cole Kmet, tight end. Damian Pierce, and right now Wan'Dale Robinson occupy our flex positions. And then you have Julio, Jacoby Myers, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Gallup, Jeff Wilson Jr., just so you don't get it confused, and Damian Williams on the bench for sweep the leg.
So I really like that you paired up the A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. It shows your faith that you put your money where your mouth is with that Philly Super Bowl pick. So I'm interested to see how that goes out. I think wide receiver, you're very, very, very strong. Your RB1 and 2 are awesome. I think Cole Kmet is very underrated, very good pick off of you. But I just think your flexes right now are a little bit weak. But I think later down in the road, especially when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, if Michael Gallup come back, your flexes are going to be right where they need to be. I think that you planned this out very, very. You're thinking the long game on this, so very, very good team overall. I think at the beginning of the year, you're definitely going to struggle a little bit with the flex, but I think later down the road, the way you drafted, you're going to reap the rewards. And you've always been a strong person. You've been in the championships more than probably anybody here. So I think that wherever your team, you came in with a manageable team, and I think you'll manage it into the playoffs without a doubt.
I couldn't have said it better myself, John. That was very beautiful. Very beautiful what you just did. I love it. So let me ask you this question. Anthony, I'll go with you first. What's your favorite matchup this week in our league?
2 days ago was actually you and me.
Oh, but that's first of all, the rules of this are that we can't choose our own matchups.
I know, but I just wanted to say that because it was not just because I was in there. I just thought it was the
Look,
you know,
look,
closest matchup. God,
the dead, dusty corpse of Allen Robinson only got you 2.2 points in our league last night.
he's alive and well.
He is a wonderful man, and I wish him only the best in life and everything. And now that we've played, he can get better again and score points. We'll always have 2015. But moving on from that, aside from our game, what's your favorite game this week?
I like Omar and the Golden Showers.
Okay, what appeals to you?
Like just because when you look at it, right, like just back and forth, everything just seems so neck to neck. I think it's gonna be the closest game of the week.
Interesting, nice. Yeah, it's a nice, handsome matchup, good looking, sturdy matchup.
Yeah. You know, and they got players that are gonna just like have to cancel each other out
You
here.
got Wilson versus Burrow. You got Evans, Allen Moore versus Chase, St. Brown, Ayuk. Derrick Henry versus DeAndre Swift. You got Darren Waller and Kyle Pitts. A couple of question marks here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Now, who do you got winning this game?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with the Omar because I think that Russell is gonna have it's just gonna be that, like, you know, fucking NFL storyline, you know, going against his old team. I think he's gonna have a great game. Keenan Allen's always gonna have a bunch of touches, and I think Derrick Henry's gonna mop the floor with the Giants.
Johnny, what's your favorite matchup this week?
Oh, I like this matchup, and I think this is going to be a story of itself. Beer Muscles versus 11 amateurs and 1 pro. Loving this quarterback situation with Brady and Mahomes. Like it a lot. I think that this is going to be a matchup that's going to be very, very enticing. Obviously, with wide receiver Cooper Kupp went absolutely bananas, but Tyreek Hill is no slouch against New England. But I do think, you know, it's going to be a long hill battle for Hill, especially against that Patriots defense. Then you have Cooks and Debo, and then you have Judy and Jefferson. I definitely think 11 amateurs and 1 pro is definitely going to be winning this quarterback wide receiver. However, I do not think that this is going to be decided by those. I think that running back, tight end, and flex is going to change the narrative of this matchup, which I have McCaffrey over James Conner. I have Travis Entemans, Etienne versus DK Dobson. I definitely have Beer Muscles winning that running back battle. Dalton Schultz against Gesicki. I think Gesicki is not even barely going to probably even get 3 fantasy points or 4 fantasy points. I think that he's going to kind of be more of a blocking tight end in that offense. And then in flex, I think that just this week, Adam Thielen versus Tony Pollard. I like Thielen better, especially with that shootout that I think it's going to be with Green Bay. And then in flex with A.J. Brown and Hunter Renfrow, I like A.J. Brown this week. I like, especially with Hopkins being out, and just a lot of opportunities for A.J. Brown. And then defense, I think simply, you know, it's going to be a squash, but I do think that Beer Muscles wins based on just having a more deep team and more complete team, and that's going to be the Achilles heel for 11 amateurs and 1 pro this year.
And we're going to get to see whether the stars and scrubs works, because Cooper Kupp already put up 31.8 points, so he's already had a blow-up day. So we're going to know, okay, well, Cooper Kupp did have a blow-up day. We do get to judge based off of that. And I think we all feel pretty good about Justin Jefferson having a big day this week as well, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think that should be a very interesting illustration of what's to come for both of those teams. You guys hit pretty much the 2 that I was looking at. So what I will do instead of picking a favorite matchup is pick a favorite little storyline from the last remaining games that haven't been discussed and talk to the Moth, the Gotham Rogues, and Tyler Fight Club, and put them all on notice right now, because they're both, or rather all 3 of them, are looking like they're going to get not only beat but smoked in their matchups. And these are 3 pretty historically respectable teams, well accomplished, all former champions named on the cup at least once, if not twice or 3 times. And all 3 of them have pretty questionable rosters as we've looked at. And so I'm basically just kind of, my favorite matchup is seeing if those teams can somehow pull out wins against what I consider to be superior opponents straight across the board. Fellas, we did it. We made it through episode 1. Are you with me?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
breathing.
Awesome.
Live
Fantastic. Pleasure doing business with you. We're going to get together every Friday night at 9. We'll be a little smoother each time we do it. It's going to get better and better. We're going to talk about the NFL. We're going to talk about the betting lines. We're going to talk about some fantasy football. We're going to talk about our own home fantasy league. And we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Sound good?
Yes, sir.
And Anthony's going to get his camera fixed so that it doesn't look like there's some sort of sensitive content sitting there. Like every time I look at that, I'm expecting to have to like click it and see boobs or something, or like, some sort of open bleeding wound or some weird thing behind that,
Dude, that's a marketing thing. You just right-click me, and then it goes to an ad, and we win.
Sure.
That's funny.
All right, that'll do it for week 1. It's always Sunday, and I will see you guys next Friday, even though it's always Sunday.